Let's talk about something nobody else is talking about. Let's talk about the price of diesel. You know, when I decided to buy a diesel pickup truck, one of the main reasons I decided to buy a diesel truck is because I felt like I was kind of shielded if there were to be supply shortages. And that ties back into my experience in dealing with Hurricane Sandy. Now, when Hurricane Sandy hit, I was a first responder. I was out there in the thick of it. I saw some crazy things, some absolutely crazy things, but myself, my friends, my neighbors, we were without power for 2.5 weeks. And the crazy thing about it, there weren't enough generators to go around, but especially there wasn't enough fuel to go around. There wasn't enough, well, let me rephrase, there wasn't enough gasoline to go around. But you know, something always stuck in the back of my head. I had a friend that owned a towing company at the time, and all his tow trucks ran on diesel. And I remember him saying, "Thank God I own diesel trucks." Because every big truck stop, every fuel station, they had plenty of diesel, which that always just kind of resonated in the back of my head. And I always wanted to buy a diesel truck because I felt like I'd be shielded if there were to be supply shortages. Now, if another Hurricane Sandy hit, perhaps that would be the case, but we're in a totally different set of circumstances right now, and it's something that really nobody's talking about. Yes, people are talking about the price of gasoline, but I get it if you're concerned about the price of gasoline, but I think what we really should be concerned about is the price of diesel, and if there's going to be shortages of diesel. Now, I remember Wrangler Star made a video a while back when when COVID first started to go down. And I remember him saying, you know, friends, you really should start preparing, make sure you're stocked up on food. He said it was kind of like a little bit too late, but you know, do what you can while you can. And I didn't really think too much of it. Like, I've always kind of wanted to be a prepper, but I never really pursued it, rather. But here we are. I don't know, 1.5 years, 2 years after he made that video. And now I'm finally starting to work on my prepping skills just a little bit, which this is not a prepper video. I'm not trying to cause alarm or anything, but I think everybody should be alarmed. I think we absolutely should be alarmed. Everything that you buy at the store, everything you buy at the supermarket, how do you think it gets to the supermarket? Diesel truck, big semi. We don't have the technology for batteries. Now, I'm not opposed to alternative fuels, but at this point in time, our country survives on diesel. Probably half the products that you buy grocery-wise at the supermarket, well, produce, how does that all come to be? Diesel tractors. Where does that fertilizer come from? I'm pretty sure a good chunk of that fertilizer comes from Russia. So what's causing this? Well, I do a little bit of reading, and it's really a perfect storm of everything. For one, you have an administration that doesn't support the oil and gas industry, which they have wagered war on the oil and gas industry. So the oil and gas industry, you would think that if you have an administration that's trying to put you out of business or hurt you, I would think that they'd want to be as profitable as they can while they can be. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. Now, this is not a political video, but you know, it's just common sense. It's what's going on. On top of that, we have the war going on in Russia, which is a very sad thing. I'm sure nobody wants to see it. Hopefully Russia stops soon, but the crude oil from Russia was ideal for making diesel. And because we have sanctioned Russia, we're not getting that fuel from them right now. And I'm pretty sure the European Union, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the EU is getting really close to sanctioning oil from Russia. I don't think they've actually done it yet, but once they go through with that, if they go through with that, there's going to be even a shorter supply of oil. And then of course you have OPEC, just like the big oil companies, you know, some administrations have wagered war on the oil and gas industry, so of course they're going to try and maximize profits. They're sitting pretty right now. I mean, they lost a lot of money during COVID. I think the cost of a barrel of oil was actually in the negative during some portions of COVID, but OPEC, I mean, they're just ringing in the profits right now. And to some extent, rightfully so, I understand it. although it's just hurting everybody really bad. So you have that going on. You also have some other things going on which nobody really talks about. I'm pretty sure I read an article fairly recently that there's been some changes in the cruise ship industry. I'm pretty sure that recently the fuel that supplies these cruise ships, there's been new stricter regulations that have gone into effect recently. Like, I believe cruise ships in the past have taken like a really thick, like unrefined diesel fuel or distillate fuel. And with the new global regulations on the environment, I believe they've had to switch to a cleaner fuel, a more refined diesel fuel, if I'm not mistaken, which puts less pollutants into the atmosphere, which in turn reduces the supply of just regular diesel. And of course, on top of that, you have an economy that's trying to wake up from the impacts of COVID. I remember I was out there, I was an essential worker. I was working in the heart of COVID, and I remember there not being a lot of cars on the road. There were some trucks, the main supply trucks, but there weren't a lot of trucks and traffic on the road. But over the past few weeks, I've just noticed an extreme influx of cars and trucks and traffic on the road. So you have an economy that's trying to wake up. And in turn, you have a limited supply and the demand has just been on the rise. So, I mean, it is what it is. Just prices go through the roof. Basic supply and demand, right? What else can I talk about? Well, I'm not going to get any further into the administration, but something else that I read is that the amount of refineries on the East Coast has, I want to say it's been cut in half since 2008. Like they called 2008 like the prime years of the oil and gas industry. But since 2008 on the East Coast, the refineries, the capacity of the East Coast to make oil, I really want to say it's been cut in half. So you have that, and on top of that, there's been this push to make more biodiesel, which, if the science proves that it is more environmentally friendly to produce biofuel over conventional drilling, I'm actually for that. I think you'll ask a lot of people in this world right now who need oil and gas. I think a lot of us are not opposed to the idea of new fuel technology and biofuels, like alternative fuels. I'm not against that whatsoever, but we need to have the technology in place. And what I'm referencing is I've actually read a couple studies about ethanol, which ethanol is an additive in gasoline, and there's actually been a few studies fairly recently that have identified that it's actually environmentally negative to produce ethanol and put it in our gas. It's more detrimental to the environment to add ethanol to gasoline over just conventional gasoline. Who would have thought, huh? Well, I don't have the answers. All I can tell you is try and prepare yourself if you can. I went to Harbor Freight. I picked up these. What are these? These are Midwest cans, 5-gallon cans. I bought 4 of them. I figure it's not looking good right now. It's just the jumps in fuel prices. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I filled up my truck halfway in these 4 diesel cans. $235. Oh, it's getting crazy. And I don't know if it's gonna stop. How high are these prices gonna go? Are there gonna be shortages? I think there's a possibility of shortages. That's one of the reasons I'm preparing right now. And again, I'm not trying to cause panic. I think panic is a bad thing because, you know, like the toilet paper shortage with COVID. As soon as you say, oh my God, there's not going to be enough toilet paper, everybody runs to the stores and grabs all the toilet paper. What I am saying, those of you that have the ability to insulate yourself from supply disruptions, I think it's a good idea to think about protecting yourself a little bit right now, if you have the means to. It's frightening because who knows what's going to happen. If we really start having diesel shortages, I mean, you think the shelves were bad being half empty during COVID? I'm not saying it'll get there. I hope it doesn't get there, but I mean, it has the potential to get really bad. So, I don't know.